What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. All right. First of all, let's shout out Food and Fallons. I told Big Fig I'm gonna try to push his channel some more. We need to get people to get over there. I should be on that channel the next month or two. He's got a lot of stuff. He's traveling starting next Friday. He'll be traveling all over the place, different states, trying out different foods, and he's got a lot of big guests lined up. So make sure you stay tuned. Check him out. Food and Fallons. Now, today's video. I remembered this story this morning. I said, you know what, let me talk about this. Now, there was a dude from MS that was on B-Yard in New Folsom with us, right? Cool dude. And, you know, this is still around that time where, you know, they had switched. You know, this is 95, I believe, right? And, you know, it was what, 92 when they switched from MS Stoners to MS-13. There was that whole thing that happened. And, you know, there was still some bottles that were like, you know, how trustworthy are they? And, you know, it was just different people feeling different ways. Well, anyways, I had mentioned before in New Folsom, especially back then on B facility, but back then there was always legends, right, that were in that state. And so it was pretty much every 30 days, somebody would take off on somebody in order to get, you know, whatever needed to get there, but it would be back there so the legends can party and, you know, communication was fluid and all that, right? Now, we used to just call them dudes that would run those missions that were just mules, you know. And if you had any aspirations to garner respect or elevate your situation, elevate your situation behind those walls, you didn't want to be a mule. You know, like, it's like, okay, I'll take something back there, but I'm going to take something back there for whacking the shit out of somebody who's really worth something, you know. Not one of those moves where, I mean, it doesn't make you a bad guy. It's just, they wouldn't ask somebody that was already established, hey, homie, will you do us a favor and take off on somebody for us to get something in the back? To be like, what? Like, that's lightweight disrespectful to them. So anyways, this dude from MS, he was cool people. Kind of like, out here we have a term called shermed out. That's like somebody that like maybe did a little bit too much drugs, or maybe they were just born that way. Their brain's a little bit fried. You know, the components aren't attached correctly, let's say. and this guy was kind of like that, right? But it was that time of the month where something needed to get to the back, and so the dude from MS was asked. He didn't hesitate. He was like, yeah, I'll take it. Shoot it. So the next day before yard, he gets his thing, you know, he hoops it, keisters it, whatever you want to call it. Boom. So he goes to yard and he, you know, picks his target, because you get to pick your target, you know, and it was usually, there was a specific faction that was targeted for those. And they always knew once a month, one of them was going to have to get down with somebody, right? And so he goes and picks his target, does his thing, boom, goes to the hole, right? And normally you'd go, you know, the vatos that would do that, the guys that would do that, they would go and get off, boom, they'd go to the back, they'd meet whoever they met, you know, get things where they need to go. And about 30 days later, they would come back to the yard and they would bring back messages, right? Well, this guy, unlucky for him, he got off, and then instead of sending them back to B facility, they sent him to C facility. Now, I've already told the story. I put out the video where back then, C facility, if you were Mexican or raza from Southern California, and you went to C facility, that wasn't a yard you can hang out on. They had a curfew, and people don't understand. That curfew was 9 months. I've never seen a curfew that long. But the reasoning behind it was, you're gonna go there, you're given enough time to, if you need to, hit a clavo, get some dope, sling some dope, make sure you get your TV, make sure you get your necessities, right? Not the things you want, but the things you need. It gives you they're giving you enough time to get the things that you need, because you should be stabbing the shit out of somebody by the time that or before that 9 months is over, right? Once you got all your shit, go. And so the rule was you had 9 months to get off. If you went over 9 months, but you whacked somebody, you're just going to have to put in work. And when you get to the back, to the hole, if you were there over 9 months and you didn't do shit, then it went like this. What is the individual's schooling, right? You were going to be punished based on your education. So they had this term called Southsiding, right? So if you had been out there over 9 months and you had never been anywhere, that's the first place you've been. When you went to the back, you were going to get jumped on, depends on your size, but you were going to get jumped on by, 2, 3, 4, 5 dudes. They're going to drop you. They're going to stomp you out. I mean, it was bad. They still treated you, but they weren't going to use a weapon on you because you didn't know better. But you were gonna get seriously hurt, but you weren't gonna get stabbed because you didn't know better. If it was somebody who knew better, that's been in the shoe, been ADSEG, been around, had schooling, they're whacking them. In both of those situations, after your check, if you come back out, now you got to put in work. You can kick it, but you got to put in work, right? So this dude from MS did his thing on B facility, went to ADSEG, did 30 days in ADSEG, got kicked out to C Yard, right? And we heard about people were like, oh, fuck, hey, they sent fucking old boy to C Yard. And then it was like, and then, in prison, that's just like something to talk about. Like, hey, so you think the Vato's gonna get off? Vato's like, yeah, why wouldn't he? He fucking got off over here, no problem. People knew him from the county. They were like, he was getting off in the county. He got off here. Yeah, he'll get off. People forgot to factor in he wasn't all there. Like, you had to lead that dude by the hand, right? So I want to catch him my shoe term out there on B Yard. I go to the hole, and this dude from MS is one of the ones that I mentioned where apparently a bus came from reception, and there was too many dudes from down south on that bus, and they hit C facility. That's what I should say. Let me clarify. There was too many dudes that hit C Yard that were from Southern California, and it made some of the so-called Southerners that were out there. And that's the thing. Another reason why there was a 9-month curfew is because it wasn't a 50-50 yard. It was just a yard where dudes either had got hit in other joints and got sent over there and just said, fuck it, I'm just gonna do my time, or it was dudes that had just landed there and been misled, like, hey, you don't have to do nothing, right? So there was no dropouts or anything like that, or else the curfew would have changed dramatically, right? So the so-called Southerners that were on that yard didn't like the fact that so many other Southerners had got there, and some of them they knew from the county, and so they went and told the raza from Northern California. They told him, hey, you might not want to leave these dudes here. And the raza from Northern California whacked 3 Southerners that came on that bus. 2 of them were from MS, and the other one was from San Fernando, Sanfer, right? And we're already in ADSEG. So this was, I touched on this before, this story. Well, that story. So when the raza from Northern California did that, those of us knuckleheads in ADSEG were excited. And I remember laughing. We would talk like, hey, these vatos fucking really think they did something like worth bragging about. And how do you think they feel now? Because we whacked every one of them dudes. Basically whacked every one of the dudes that got sent from C facility back there. We hit them, either they got Southsided or they got whacked. Now, there was an individual there that came, right? And he was from Compton. I don't remember what barrio, but he was from Compton, right? And it was somebody that a lot of people knew. They knew him from the county jail, and he knew what time it was. And he was one of them dudes, like, you know, it's rare to meet people like that, but he was one of them guys, like pretty much everybody that knew him, that met him, liked him. But when it comes down to business, that shit don't matter. Rules are rules, eh? And that Ad Seg, New Folsom Ad Seg was known back then. You know, you could go to that Ad Seg for some petty shit, cop bucking with you on the yard and send you back there, and you could wind up with 3-4 years worth of shoe. You know, it was known to do that, right? There's always work to be done there because of C facility. Now, as soon as these guys came, we had to discuss. I was part of the leadership back there. One of the currently one of the most well-known legends was there at the time. This was before he became a legend. We were part of the leadership there. Me, my celly, him and his celly. And so we had to decide. We had to discuss what we're gonna do. So, you know, kites are going back and forth to each other. We're discussing it. And the dude from MS had wound up in a cell next to that guy, right? The one that's, you know, a legend now. He had landed in the cell next to him. And so we asked him, you know, who came with you, who, you know, this, and that. And so we found out through other people that the guy from MS and the guy from Compton were basically best friends. They were connected at the hip. Everywhere one went on the yard, the other was there, vice versa. So we decided that the homie from Compton had to get whacked. He had to get whacked. He knew what time it was. And when it came to the homie from MS, he was actually shown some love. A few people stepped up for him and they're like, "Hey, Holmes, that's a good dude, eh?" And I remember this. And this is a trip. Now it's not. It's, you know, whatever. But one of the things that saved him, well, there were several things, but one of the things that saved him, and I don't like to use this term, but I'm going to have to use it for this. One of the things that saved him was that he had Sureño across his chest. Now, you would think that because he had that, he should have got whacked because he had that tattoo. But you have to remember, he was from MS. This is 1996, right? You almost never saw anyone from MS with that word on them. And so it was like, look, Holmes, he really is a homie. You know, he put in work in the county. When he was asked to do something on B Yard, he didn't hesitate. He did it. When he got over there to C Yard, he fell for the okie doke. He was told, nah, they lifted the curfew. He should have known better. So what we're going to do is we're going to utilize him to whack Compton, his best friend, right? We're going to ask him. We're going to see where his heart is, because if he says no, hey, homie, I'll get somebody else. Homie, is it cool if I get somebody else? I just can't hit that dude. Then we're whacking both of them. And then we're assigned to the same yard, right? So he was asked without hesitation. I got that, right? Now, once he said yeah, we started fishing around to get the piece. Boom, so we get the piece. I slide it down, boom. The homie gets the piece. He slides it over. And I remember the dude from MS, the cell he was in had a super duper low door. So we had to get it through it's called the rat hole. We used to call it the rat hole on the side of the door. We had to, like, it was a mission to get it to him. Got it to him. And he was like, hey, gracias. And what do you want me to do with this? And we're like, you're going to take that out to yard, homie, and you're going to whack old boy with that. And he was like, fuck, eh? How do I get it out? And the homie told him, I think you could figure out how you're going to get that out there. And he was like, fuck, Holmes, this thing's kind of big. And it's like, so you don't want to do it? He was like, oh, no, I'll do it. And side note, I know Wes Watson is always talking about keystring shit. He has a like weird thing where he has to talk about it all the time. And I remember when he first came out, he was always screaming and yelling about that. And then other channels, you know, dudes that have done time that are from other states were like, man, what's up with these cats in California? They're always keystring shit, this and this and that. And I remember a couple of dudes saying that it was gay, right? And I'm thinking, gay, like it may, if you like it, maybe, I don't know. I've never met anybody that was like, that enjoyed it, right? And the reality is this, out here in California, you always have a choice, you know. There's places where you can do the okie doke. I'm not going to explain the okie doke, but there's places you can do the okie doke and take a piece out in ad seg, in the hole, without keystring it. You basically are going to be doing what the cops allow. So if you can see where you can take advantage of a situation, you're going to take advantage of it. Here's the problem. Let's say you decide to do an okie doke today. You've been in that ad seg a year, and things are always done a certain way. So the okie doke is in effect. It's your turn to put in work. It's your turn to get that fucking thing out there and use it, and use it well, right? And so that morning, you try the okie doke, but it's a different cop, or the cop is having a bad day. He decides he's going to switch up his program. Now you got caught. Now we're going to whack you. So when people, you can, hey, you want to carry dope, carry it how you want. You want to carry a knife, carry it how you want. If you have an obligation, if that's hot dope, if you were supposed to use that knife, and in those situations you get caught, okay, you tried, now we're going to try. Only we're going to get it done, you know? And so I just wanted to put that out there. People don't have to keister shit. But if you need to get something somewhere and you fail in your duties and it's something hot, that's your ass. You're going to get hit. So now, the dude from MS, they released his yard group. He wasn't on our yard group. I believe we were on yard 1. It was called yard 1. It's not a level 1, but it's yard 1. I think the Southern Raza and whites, we had yard groups 1, 3, and 5. And the rest, the other numbers were the others, the Northerners and blacks. They went to yard together. I believe they were on maybe the 5 yard. I'm not sure. So anyways, they're releasing their yard group. And I'm going to keep it real. When he came out, he had a different walk that morning. He had a different walk, and we were clowning him. But I let him, Twister Ink or what? What's that all about? But the cops can't hear us because they're at the slider door in the day room, right? And we're like, hey, homie, you Twister Ink or what? What's going on with that? And the yard, he goes, he strips out, boom, in the day room. And he didn't have a cell yet at the time. So he goes out to yard. Normally, the procedure was everybody buzz down, everybody work out, get the heart rate pumping. And then after the workout, that's when you hit a dude. But that's usually when you want to smoke him. You want to try to have him bleed out, you know, or at least pump that blood out faster. Well, the homie from MS had different ideas. He wanted that thing out of him, and he wanted it out ASAP. So from what we were told by him and other people that were on the yard, MS, and everybody knows them dudes from MS are fucking nuts. He goes to his buddy, the dude from Compton, his best friend, right? And he tells him, hey, homie, do me a favor and stand right here so the Huda in the tower can't see me, because I got to pull this piece out. And he's like, all right, I got you. So the dude from Compton stands there. The dude from MS is getting it out. And the dude from Compton asks him, hey, Holmes, who's that for anyways, eh? And the dude from MS whacked him right in his neck. Boom! The first one, he hit him in the neck. And all I know is everybody thought it was funny because they said when the dude from MS hit the dude from Compton, the dude from Compton screamed, ay, ay, ay! And it became a foot race. He was running around the yard, and this dude's just chasing him, just hitting him. Boom, boom. I'm actually surprised that no one jumped up and tackled the dude from Compton. But from the section I was in, that we were in, A section, we could see the yard gun. So we knew when shit was going down immediately, and we could see, we don't know the ay part yet, and the chasing around like a comedy, you know, they're running in circles, an ugly comedy, right? Dark comedy. But then we saw, and we should call this gunner the Marine, right? The way he wore his hat, we're like, that dude's got to be a Marine. And we saw, boom, he jumps up. Because they never used to watch the yard. I'm telling you, that ad sig was dangerous, man. But I guess he heard the scream, and because he dropped his fucking newspaper, he looks and he just sticks the launch route. Boom, cracked it, loaded it. Boom, he's just dumping, right? And I remember they brought out that, which they always do. They bring out the victim first, and the dude from Compton was cuffed up, and he went by. And this is a side that we saw. He's walking by this way, and you could just see blood all over him right here coming down. And as we used to do back then, I don't know if they still do that. He was told when he was getting whacked, it's a check, but you got to fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a check. And so that's basically the story, how treacherous it is. This guy was asked to whack his best friend. It was a test within a test, basically, for him. Fortunately for him, he passed the test. But that's how it is in there. It's not going to be, if you get moved on, if you're running with the Southern Raza, it's a 90% chance if you ever get touched, it's going to be by one of your own. That you can look and you can see riots, on YouTube that happen in Pelican Bay and stuff, or you hear about riots in California, but look at how often you hear about that. It's not a common occurrence. Those are bad, horrible for business. So, people talk about the riots where there's been huge riots, horrible riots. But that's what, once a year, maybe every 2 years you hear about it. Now you don't really hear about it at all because everybody's out and there's communication, better communication, I should say. But the reality is, if you get touched, it's going to be by one of your own. Excuse me. And the worst part about it, it's going to be somebody you're close to. Because, see, when you're on the yard, if somebody that you don't kick it with every day comes towards you, it's natural. You're gonna keep an eye on him. Like, this is about the word. You're gonna look at his pockets. Does one of his pockets look a little bulky? You're gonna check his weight. You're gonna look at his waistband, watching his hands. You're looking at it. Is he pale? When people get that adrenaline really pumping, they usually get their skin tone turns pale. Does he have a tick? You know, sometimes some people get a tick. If you're bullshitting, he comes up to you and he posts up and you're bullshitting. If he smiles, does his smile reach his eyes? A fake smile never affects your eyes. There's a lot of different things you're looking at. If you know what time it is and somebody comes around you that's not normally around you, you're going to notice that, right? But when it's somebody that you kick it with every day, that you're breaking bread with every day, if you're smart, your guard's up no matter who's around you. But a lot of guys don't know how to do that, don't know that they're supposed to do that. And it's the guy that's their best friend that shoves that knife in them. Another glimpse at reality in California state prisons and probably prisons everywhere. I don't know. I only know California's system. That's just another look. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, do me a favor, hit the like button, share it with somebody you think would like it, and leave a comment. I appreciate your time. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.